African Development Bank headquarters. This is a monumental move that is poised to transform the energy sector across the African continent. With a $5 billion initial capital investment, the African Energy Bank is expected to facilitate funding for vital energy projects, catalyzing economic growth and enhancing energy security across the African continent. Now, of course, you will know that Nigeria is the Africa's leading oil producer, which eventually won this bid against strong contenders like Ghana, Benin, Algeria, South Africa, and Cote d'Ivoire, underscoring its pivotal role in the continent's energy future. Now, this initiative of establishing the African Energy Bank aligns with the broader objective of the African Union's Agenda 2063, which envisions a prosperous and self-sustaining continent. This strategic decision once again comes as part of the Africa Petroleum Producers Organization, otherwise known as APPO, initiative, and is expected to drive substantial foreign direct investment, the largest in Nigeria in over 2 decades. In today's episode, I'll be joined by Dr. Godfrey Ajayi-Sunday, the Group Managing Director of G Consulting International Services Limited, to explore the potential economic benefits this Africa Energy Bank headquarters will be bringing to Nigeria. We'll also look at the challenges that lie ahead in terms of the construction of these headquarters and the history of management of such projects in Nigeria. And of course, we'll also look at the strategic importance of this development for Nigeria and the African continent. But before then, we'll be receiving Mr. David Olayemi, the market mover stock market analyst and the business strategist at Mega Equities Limited. David will be joining us from Lagos, and I want to urge you to stay tuned, and I'll be back after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying with us on Market Movers. We're having a little bit difficulty connecting with David from Lagos, and I'll have to bring in Dr. Godfrey Ajayi-Sunday, who is already here in the studio, joining me to look at the issue of the Africa Energy Bank and the right that Nigeria has won to host the headquarters in Nigeria. Dr. Godfrey, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osai-Lume. You know, our analysis has become a bit predictive now. We mentioned the fact that, look, there are some financial institutions that need to be in Nigeria.
Yes.
One of them is that Energy Bank. I mean, when you compare the economy of Nigeria to that of China, there are some development banks that must be, okay? And thank God that today, Mr. President is looking in that direction.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe one of these days we'll find time to take a look at the SWOT analysis of Mr. President. I think he's a slow starter.
Yeah, he is a slow starter, but of course, you know, his personality, and the way he has projected himself, he didn't project himself as a slow starter. You know, for want of what to say now.
Yeah.
During his inauguration, he made a statement which has become a cliche in our
subsidy gone.
No, not subsidy gone. He said, "I'm going to hit the ground running." You know, so people are beginning to ask, is it the ground that is now, you know, hitting?
Yeah, that's why I said, look, it's good you do what is called SWOT analysis of individual, yourself, the organization that you run, and the institution that you manage. Okay, so we're the one assessing him now.
Yes.
Okay, he has somebody to assess his minister. The last time we talked about the fact that there was a panic mode.
Yeah.
As far as the economy is concerned, you know that we're already in a panic mode. Okay, so one of his strengths now is ability to connect with the world. Okay, to attract, I mean, to be able to dish out 100 million USD to be able to attract this energy bank is his strength.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he's a strong negotiator.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. He needs to further go down now to even understand he himself. I'm telling you now as an analyst that I think he's a slow starter. Okay. Slow starting in the fact that he's not been able to. This is 1 year. Few months, he's not been able to get the economy right.
Exactly.
That's why I'm telling you that he's a slow starter. But for him to be able to attract mega deals, okay? When he came, one of the first things he got was the chairman of the ECOWAS sub-region.
Yes.
Now he's now trying to attract an energy bank, which is long overdue, okay? Because one of the major challenges that we have as a nation is the energy sector. Energy sector is quite broad. And somebody tells you today that if we get our energy right, likely the Nigerian people will be able to flow in to be able to get themselves right. What people do most times is that anytime a government comes in, they take time to study the government. Then they know how to flow with the government. Okay, so we're saying today, if energy is gotten right, the entrepreneurs, okay, the SMEs will flow in, and with or without government, be able to start manufacturing, we'll be able to start producing. So that's Mr. President needs to understand who he is and his personality.
I think I agree with you. We'll look for a day in this week or next week to look at a SWOT and conduct a SWOT analysis of Mr. President, so that we can also better inform our audience.
I'm sure that will help him.
Yeah,
that will help him, because again, one of the greatest things as an individual is when you don't know yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, so they say if it's not Panadol, it is not the same thing as Panadol.
Yeah, and what you just said is very correct. I had a session with some, community-based organizations over the weekend, and we're talking about, leadership in politics and business. And one of the things, we highlighted in that session was the fact that for us to even get our leadership right, we need to understand ourselves. It is critical that you, as a leader, you must understand yourself and understand what leadership entails, before you can actually.
And let me take it down to governance now. Some people are advocating that we should go back to 1960 Constitution, the parliamentary system of government.
Yes.
And we've operated the presidential for quite some time now. So it's for us to sit down and look at Nigeria. What is it actually that will best suit Nigeria? Okay, so that we don't get back to the reason why we left the parliamentary system of government.
That is very important. It's very important. And before we go into the matter of the Africa Energy Bank, you made a statement suggesting that our predictions, our analysis, on this show is beginning to get into
it's predictive now. I mean, we've said quite a number of things that are happening.
Exactly.
The last time we mentioned that, look, Mr. President has entered the panic mode, and now they want to quickly go and open a 120 window or a 150-day window to. Those are wrong policies.
One of the key things that I'm saying that has come up from this analysis here is the issue of the 24-hour economy. And today you just showed me a news report, suggesting that the Minister of Transport,
is talking about
24-hour
economy for the ports. Okay, so I mean, like when we did that analysis, okay, so one of the conclusions we came to is that, look, people are willing to pay bills, but there must be jobs for them to be able to pay those bills. And how do you create those jobs? You create a 24-hour economy. So you have a port that operates from 8 to 5. I mean, that's
not acceptable, because
so why can't you keep some level of staff that will work from 8 to 5, then from
another level of staff
that work for money. So that means you're creating more jobs at the end of the day.
And we are shouting there is no job, there is no job.
And people are saying, look, our goods have been delayed at the port.
Yes.
So small initiative that we just need to put in place.
But of course, there's a common sense. It's not common. It's all right. So let's go into the matter that we have at hand.
Yeah.
You have pointed out that the president is a good negotiator. He has the charisma, the capacity, to attract mega deals, and we see that with the Africa Energy Bank headquarters being given, the right to host it, be given to Nigeria, and so there's going to be a huge investment, in terms of not the energy sector per se yet, but in terms of the construction. So I want to ask you, looking at previous experiences that we have had, what kind of impact do you think this is going to have?
Wow, massive impact. We're talking about the $5 billion investments.
Yes.
So, and you know, don't forget that the big two also bidded. Talking about Cote d'Ivoire and South Africa.
Yes.
And you know, normally these two countries will take it because Cote d'Ivoire took African Development Bank. Okay, and you know that South Africa is big also in negotiation.
Yes.
They will also always want to take, you know, what belongs to us. Okay, because there is that rivalry between us. So, and what was at stake was what you need to invest. You need to invest about $83.3
million.
And Mr. President off the game to say, look, I will drop
$100 million
to attract an investment of $5 billion. I mean, that is pragmatic. Okay, so that's why I said, look, Mr. President is very good at those kind of transactions. And on the long run, in the next 4 years, I see Nigeria transforming. But the pain I have is that people will have suffered. They call it the 9 months pregnancy window. It's something that could have been avoided. But most importantly, if Nigeria is going to be host to a $5 billion investment strategy and it's going to be located in Nigeria, and precisely if it's going to be in Abuja, you know that there will be huge investment flow of that amount. Then what about infrastructure? Let's say we talk about the headquarters itself.
Yes.
You know, AFDB have their headquarters in Cote d'Ivoire. But they have a small office, a sub-office in Abuja here. So just imagine the movements that would now be happening across African countries coming to Nigeria to do negotiation for that $5 billion to be invested in their economy. So that traffic will be there. So the headquarters will be built here, and headquarters will now lead to other constructions. Okay, the staff, where are they going to stay? Okay, then you now talk about the energy process. When you talk about energy, this transaction is fossil fuel driven. But again, when you have transactions like this, what happens is that they're going to be looking at alternative energy. Okay, today solar is playing big. There is this rural electrification program that is going on across Nigeria by REA. So what is going to happen is that there is going to be investment flow. There will be a lot of construction going on. And I said to people, look, for us to get our alternative energy, especially it has to do with solar and inverter technology, right? It has to be domiciled here.
You know, I want to, you know, tap a lead with your excitement, because I see that you were excited, you know, with this project. Of course, Nigeria should be excited. It's a huge project with an initial capital investment of $5 billion. That is massive. But I want to give an example, you know, so that we begin to also look at, you know, what are the likely fallouts, you know, from this project, and how can Nigerians be adequately prepared, you know, to take advantage of this excitement that you are, you know, showing. ECOWAS. Okay. We have the ECOWAS. Yeah, I understand the difference between the African Energy Bank and ECOWAS, as it were. But when you are talking about, you know, the traffic in terms of people, in terms of employment, all right, when you look at ECOWAS, Nigerians are not the major, in terms of number, that are employed in ECOWAS.
Okay, what does...
in terms of employment.
Employment, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to get that right.
So my point is, how do we prepare so that when the Africa Energy Bank comes in?
No, the Africa Energy Bank is largely driven by the APPO.
Yes.
Okay, so which is
Africa Petroleum.
Which is cut across, producers of petrol. And of course, Nigeria is the leading oil producer in Africa, even though sometimes because of insecurity, there's a drop, and you have Angola trying to sometimes take over. You have Libya. Okay, so now we have an opportunity to say, okay, let's even look at it from the African point of view. Okay, I mean, West Africa is closer to us. Ghana also bidded to have this bank built in their terrain. Benin Republic, our neighbor, small nation, also bidded. Okay, so. You know, there is what is called nearness to the source of raw material, labor, availability of labor. If you look at the creation of Abuja, for example, now, when capital was in Lagos, okay, most of the employment was around the southwest, okay, because they were closer to Lagos. So, but when capital moved to Abuja, you discover that most of the artisans, okay, they fall around states around neighboring distance. If you want to, if you are looking at people who work in petrol stations now, you know the tribe that you point to because they are a bit closer to Abuja. If you are looking for secretaries, for cleaners now, you know the states that you can point to. We can use my office as a case study to say, look, most of the staff are staff that revolve around neighboring states. So similarly, West Africa is closer to Lagos, I mean to Abuja. Okay, so you see that
Nigeria.
Yeah, to Nigeria. You discover that West Africa is going to take advantage of that. Until I went to Lagos recently, I started seeing Egyptian labor in Lagos. Okay, I saw somebody Tunisia working in Lagos. Okay, so the Energy Bank is an African bank. So like Adesina today is the president of African Development Bank.
Yeah,
is a Nigerian working in Cote d'Ivoire. So you can see a lot of, if you go to AFDB now, you see a lot of Nigerian influence because of the presence of that. And the fact that the Energy Bank is going to be cited in Nigeria does not mean that the president will come from
Nigeria. That is another thing. So, and that is where I'm driving to.
Okay.
How do we play the politics right?
Yeah.
All right, so that we will be able to win the presidency.
Yeah.
Because again, if you look at African Development Bank, for instance, no matter what people will say, Adesina, being the president of African Development Bank, has given us some level of mileage.
Yeah.
You know, I recall that, you know, during the presidential inauguration, he was invited. He made certain promises. Yeah. You know, and
even like with the last administration,
exactly.
Once in a while he comes in to say, look, if you're able to do this, I will be able to do that. So, okay. So it's part of the politics. I mean, like I said, the game was 83.3 billion. That's what you drop for you to be able to attract that. So I'm sure Cote d'Ivoire and South Africa were not willing to put that money on ground. So it left out, it remains Algeria, Ghana, and Benin Republic. So, and you see that it was tilting towards West Africa, okay? And Nigeria, of course, should be the natural headquarters. And again, Mr. President should not stop at attracting the bank to Nigeria. It should go a step further to make sure that the first set of management comes from Nigeria, because again, you put a lot into that to make sure that you attract the bank. So if a Nigerian becomes the president, then that will go a long way also to positioning us, because like I said, we have energy crisis. People are talking about energy poverty.
I know. I'm just trying for us to. We're going to take this gradually. I want us to tackle the labor-related issues that will emanate or could emanate, you know, by the siting of these headquarters in Nigeria. You know, because again, like you said, there's going to be a management. You know, so you've talked about the construction, you know, and
manufacturing,
the manufacturing
service sector.
Exactly. These are the sectors that
I'm positioning myself already as a consultant to provide service.
Exactly, for that bank.
Yes.
You know, so but I wanted us to, you know, completely be sure that we are prepared as a people, you know, to take advantage in terms of employment, because one of the issues we are currently having is employment challenges. Yeah. All right.
So we want us to speak to Mr. President now.
Exactly.
Attracting
the immigration, you know, the Ministry of Labor, you know, these two key ministries. I think, you know, something has to be done
to be able to position.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think whatever you're saying, I agree with you completely. It's not just enough attracting the bank.
Yes.
You must also look at key personnel that has to do with that bank, especially the fact that as a nation you are having unemployment issues.
Yes.
Okay. So you can also go deliberately to use this to create employment for the people of
So I'm going to hold you there now.
Okay.
Let me quickly go to Lagos. David, can you hear me?
Thank you. I can hear you, sir.
How are you doing, and how is the flood in Lagos?
Flood is doing very well. The market is doing very good.
Now I'm talking about the rain, the flood. We are hearing that there is flood in Lagos.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Nigeria's flood.
No, I want to be sure that you are okay.
Yes, you are good.
Wonderful.
The weather is very
wonderful. So Now, talking about the flood now, it's like the flood is also flooding the market in terms of gains or in terms of losses. What do you have?
Yes, like you said, the flood is not actually that it's flooding the market. It's just because of the reaction of the investor taking the after gain of some of the accumulated gains that have occurred in their investment so far. So that's why we are having a kind of trend, low trend in the market. Take, for instance, you discover that many people did a lot of trade on some of the banking sector. Take, for example, GTCO. And GTCO also losses because of the capital gain that some investor had to last week.
Okay. Now, I want to understand the SEC has just introduced, an app, that is designed to, provide more information and a bit mobilize the public into making relevant investment in the Nigerian exchange. And there is this conversation around encouraging listed companies and relevant stakeholders to also continue issues about education, educating the public about the stock market and all that. What is happening? What do you see around these issues?
Yes, thank you very much. Just last week, like you said, the Security and Exchange Commission urges all the market players to educate the investors on how to take advantage of what is happening in the capital market. Because from the research, discovered that almost it's only 20% of Nigerians that are actually in the market, like 80%. Are either not aware or are aware and are not in the market. So that is the reason why the SEC had said that the market, the market should try and raise what we call education app, a kind of education for the so that they will be aware of what's happening in the capital market. Recently, a kind of an education was raised, most especially for the corporates in Lagos, to know more about investing in capital market in Lagos State. So this is going to be a kind of awareness that we are going to be creating on regular basis now, most especially on the online training that we are going to be having for the people in Lagos State.
That is interesting, David. So let's speak to the market now. What is the sentiment of the market currently? Which sectors are the sectors that are driving the trend, the gains and the losses in the market?
Yeah, last week, Thursday, we could see that Seplat, Honeywell, and Ikeja Hotel dragged the equity market to about 108 billion lost. Though there was still pressure on GTCO, which led to a decline in the price by the 3.9%. Transcorp also, due to the same pressure, also declined by 1.1%. And the same Seplat on Friday also declined by 1.7%. And UBA by 4.0%. But with all these losses, on Friday, equity markets ended the trading session in green with a little bullish of about 0.2%, which settled the capitalization at 56.44 trillion. So what brought about this as at that Friday was a Fidelity, the volume that was done in Fidelity, Access Corp, and the MTN.
That is something that I want to take you up on, the Access Corp. There are, again, maybe by tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be doing a comprehensive analysis of the Access holdings and what is happening with their shares in the market. But I want you to speak to, the issue of this discrepancy or the debate around the pricing of the Access Corp share price, premium price at this time. What are you hearing? People are saying that the share is overpriced.
Actually, from the forecast that we did recently, we discovered that the price of Access Corp is not actually overpriced, because the analyst has already said that before 2025, access code might directly get to 35 or 40 naira.
Okay, so
it depends
David, just hold on there. I want to come back to you. Let's go for a quick break. I will come back to you. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
In a world of overwhelming voices where everyone has different opinion on different issues, it is important that we bring the core issue to the fore. Join me, Nancy Banigo, on Softline as we lend our voices to inform and influence your thoughts and actions. This is not just mere talk, it is an invocative program that touches the core of our existence.
No matter wetin I see, enough fit make mouth heavy to talk am. That's now why people dey talk.
You know wetin dey worry you, but you no go fit take help yourself.
In this kind of situation now, what if they really no talk to una? Wetin be the way forward?
They go bury our chairman on Thursday. We go remain here.
Make we talk good where we dey see good, and where we know say we no dey see good, make we also dey talk am.
No woman, no mother deserve to know the grave of his child.
The bank manager, the bank executive, they are the one the government should first pay.
People They Talk, the show on Monday to Friday by 5 p.m. on top ADBN TV.
1 hour of your daily dose of news from around the world.
Whether it's a diplomatic breakthrough, a humanitarian crisis, or a scientific discovery, Global Digest gives you a deeper understanding of the world around you. Join me, Amma Marcus. Let's stay ahead of the curve with conversations that are shaping our planet at 11 a.m. on DSTV, channel 258, and on StarTimes, channel 140. Global Digest, your window to the world's current affairs, only on Advocate Broadcasting Network.
He said I should dress my tie very well.
In a world of overwhelming voices where everyone has different opinion on different issues, it is important that we bring the core issue to the fore. Join me, Nancy Banigo, on Softline as we lend our voices to inform and influence your thoughts and actions. This is not just mere talk, it is an invocative program that touches the core of our existence.
Thank you for staying with us on Market Movers. I'm still having David Olayemi from Lagos. I'll be joining him shortly. But before then, I wanted Dr. Godfrey to just wrap up, his thought line on the issue, because what is critical for us is not being prepared. There's a saying that, if you fail to prepare, then you are prepared to fail. And for this project coming, my thinking and my expectation is that Nigeria should be able to take advantage of the whole gamut of opportunities that it presents. Yes. Yeah. And I'm looking at it that our immigration and our Ministry of Labor should do something to be prepared for this.
One of the things that we have not even done, it's other African countries like Rwanda, they do something like visa on arrival.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have a bank like this now, I think we could just do something, because I'm told that Nigerian visa is one of the most difficult visas to get. So why can't we, do visa on arrival, especially for investors at that level. So like you have said, immigration and Ministry of Labor should put their hands together, look at the totality of job that is expected to be created. And most importantly, we're interested in the management.
Exactly.
Okay? Management will be able to, direct labor. More labor. Position. There are going to be regional offices.
Exactly.
Apart from the headquarters being here. Okay, so you can actually look at the regions in East Africa. Look at the oil-producing nations and see where do you put those regional offices. You can get Nigerians to man those things. They said Nigerians are one of the best managers. The moment they leave the shores of this nation. So we should, I mean, even hire a consultant. Okay, we're available from the way we are talking now. We know that we know what ought to be done. So you can hire a consultant to prepare ahead to say, okay, in the next 5 years, what is going to be the face of
African Energy Bank.
African Energy Bank, to see how to position Nigeria to be strategic, to be able to, take a good lion's share, because we're investing and we keep doing this. We invested in South Africa, we didn't take the gains.
Exactly.
We invested in Sudan, we didn't take the gain. I was opportune to be in Mombasa, Kenya, where a lot of Southern African nations came, and they said, look, they are looking for Nigerians to come and help them.
So I think to come and help them, let's see how David can help us understand what is the trend that we should expect in the market in this very week that we are in. David, can you hear me? Is David there? Okay, so let's go back.
Yes,
now.
I'm with you.
Okay, so David, so that we can quickly wrap up, this segment of stock market insights, gainers and losers. What do you have to tell us about the trend that we should expect to see this coming week in terms of market sentiment, in terms of stocks that we should be looking at for?
Yes, and concerning the capital bank recapitalization, as GTB, Fidelity, and Access Bank continue their right issue and public offer, Zenith Bank this week also unveiled the drive in order to meet the CBN recapitalization. So the implication of this is that all these banks are coming at the same time. And it is now in the at the discretion of the investors to choose which of the banks to invest in, because it's going to be competitive as we are talking about it right now. We can see that Access Fidelity will soon round up their
right issue,
public offer, and the right issue. While the GTB is just coming to the market, Zenith Bank is also just coming to the market. But like I said last week, some of the investors might rightly buy some of these stocks on this floor of Nigeria Stock Exchange rather than buying the offer. It depends on what happened. I'm giving an example of Access Corp. While we were talking before, that last week Access Corp lost and to close at 19.05. If Access Corp lost it below 19 naira, the investor might likely buy it. The investor might likely buy it low on the floor of Nigeria Stock Exchange than buy the public offer. So the bank, they have to do kind of sensitization and make sure that they do all they could do to make sure that the price is not go what they are selling as the public offer right now.
All right, thank you very much. So as we wrap up, David, what do you predict for this week? Is the market going to be bearish or going to be bullish?
Yes, with what we can see, we are hoping that the market is going to be bullish this week. We believe that the reaction to the selling, though, is still going on, but there's still going to be more people investing into the, most especially banking sector. We see that the volume of the Access Corp last week, the volume traded was high. What we brought about the 0.2% bullish that came to the interest of the exchange last week. So this week we are looking at the same thing to happen, that as people buy more, that there might be a regain of the interest.
Thank you very much, David. We'll grab you back here on the show on Wednesday to see what happens in the stock market. Again, thank you, and please take care of yourself and stay very far away from the flooding. We'll see you again on Wednesday. Now we'll go back to Dr. Godfrey now to continue our conversation on the Africa Energy Bank, its potentials and challenges for the Nigerian people. Dr. Godfrey, let's look at, essentially what, are those types of energy projects that this Africa Energy Bank is expected to invest in, and do you think we are ready, to take advantage of those opportunities?
Very interesting. The advanced world, China, they feel they do some of this analysis and they foresee where Africa is going.
Yeah.
If you look at, for example, the solar technology,
yes,
you will see that already India and China has already taken over. So manufacturing of solar technology right now comes from China, it comes from India. So that means they're already aware that an energy bank is going to be floated.
Yeah.
Okay? So you look at projects like the solar technology projects. And this is where, I mean, today, I was 2 weeks ago, I was with an honorable member.
Yeah.
He said, look, the greatest project they're doing at National Assembly right now
is solar.
Is solar. Okay?
Rural constituency projects.
Constituency projects. That's what everybody talks about now. And who is providing those technology?
China.
China and India. Already. When you talk about inverter, okay, you talk about the batteries. Indian, you know, long time ago they prepared for all these things. So I see a lot of projects around wind, around hydro, because when you talk about energy now, these are the things that makes up the energy.
Exactly.
The oil and gas is still there, okay, which is primarily the drivers of this fund. But they're going to now use it to do things like solar, like renewable energy.
Yeah, because
let me just mention something. There's something that China did a long time ago. They started working on energy bulb.
Okay,
to replace the high red energy consuming bulb. Okay, so these are projects that we should be looking at as to be funded, research and development. Okay, you're talking about renewable energy innovation. You're talking about hybrid systems. Okay, today I can tell you that in my office and my house, in the last 10 years, I've been able to have a hybrid system where I have solar, I have what's it called now? I have solar, I have inverter.
Yeah.
So when the electricity comes, it helps me to recharge these processes. And at the end of the day, once light goes off, the light will not go off. So these are hybrid system that the project should be. I mean, there are quite a number of these kind of projects now that people are already going into. So when the energy bank comes, it's going to help in funding some of these big projects at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, the SMEs are going to be the highest beneficiaries.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about the small, medium enterprises right now. We're going to be having large projects now that SMEs can connect with. When you connect with the bank, you're able to get funding for all these projects. Then you are able to, as a matter of policy, we should bring those technologies back to Africa to be able to produce solar. Okay, because we cannot have all the suns, and that's our problem. And China is the one giving us solar technology. If whatever project, what's it called, the Energy Bank is going to fund, it should be like local content should come in now to say, look, for us to fund you, you must manufacture some of these projects here. So that's the way African can get it right, to be able to drive the SMEs for them to be able to participate in this $5 billion US dollars that we're talking about.
Now, I wanted to point out that it is very instructive, all right, for this bank to be named Africa Energy Bank. And the promoters of this bank, their name is Africa Petroleum Producers Organization. Now, what is striking me there is that they didn't include petroleum in the name of the bank.
Yeah, because there's energy transition.
So that is the point I'm making.
Okay.
That is the point I'm making. So there's energy transition.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to now ask you now as the expert now, looking at the energy transition value chain, you kind of highlighted, the value chain, the alternatives now, the inverter, the wind, the solar.
Yeah.
Now, do you think we have a working industry, all right, that is invested in this alternative energy?
No, we don't have, okay? And we don't have that. That's why we need to prepare ourselves. But we've been talking about these things. You remember when O'Dwyer was governor?
Yes.
He talks about beyond oil.
Beyond oil.
Okay? That's talking about fossil fuel. That on the long run is going to disappear. Okay? So if it disappears, what are the alternative energy that we're going to be using? And a lot of conferences, international conferences, oil and gas, they talk about energy transition. If fossil fuel gets finished today, what are we going to transit into? So the earlier you take money from fossil fuel to begin to invest in other form of energy, and that's where Nigeria also made a mistake. Okay, when we discover oil, President Gowon Asada and said, look, we have too much money.
Too much money.
We don't know what to do with it. Okay? What we should have done then was to say from the oil money, we should have developed our agricultural sector.
Yeah.
Okay, so that by today, if we have another source of income beyond oil and gas. Today we are regarded as a mono economy.
Yeah.
Okay, that means all our focus is
one directional.
Is one directional. So when you have a situation and a scenario like that, then it becomes a problem at the end of the day. So this is the time to sit down, look at R&D, research and development, to be able to see, look, what is the value chain? How do we prepare for the value chain? You have talked about the labor side of it now. How do we get our people prepared for them to be able to get ready to move in? Because again, we need to create jobs. Okay, we need to look at those alternative energies that will now take the oil money to be able to develop. I mean, the sun in Africa is great.
Now, you just talked about R&D, research and development, and this is something that I've been meditating on over.
Yeah, you seem to be interested in research and development.
Yeah, of course. I'm telling you, development, of course. Now, my point is that it's like we are always being pushed. All right.
Yeah.
We have oil. Now, as we are trying to leverage this oil to even understand the opportunity that this oil provides us, the world is beginning to transit out of oil. And now, we have also begun to follow suit. Some time ago, I encountered some women that are in the oil industry, oil and gas industry, and they were trying to do what they call the decarbonization summit. They actually wanted me to consult for them. And my question was that, as we are planning for this transition of oil, have we been able to do a research of what we can do with the oil that we have? Or is it at the moment we transit to alternative energies, we abandon our oil?
The world is forward thinking, and the earlier you start thinking forward. Okay, we talk about electric cars these days.
Yes.
Let me tell you what led to electric cars. Electric cars, that some nations like Israel, they didn't have oil. Okay, they begin to think that, look, the people who have oil are oppressing us. How do we get out of the use of oil?
Yes.
So that was what led to huge research. Okay, Prime Minister Sharon of Israel single-handedly did R&D on the electric car. And I tell you today, about 3 nations are already transited
to electric cars.
To electric cars. So you won't find fossil fuel cars. Okay, so if you don't move, the world will grow and leave you. Okay, so and you see that the alternative energy is cheaper. Okay, so well and good, we have oil. Okay, a technology can arise that will make oil to be inefficient. Okay, so when it becomes inefficient, you are left alone with your oil. Your oil is no longer useful to you. Okay, so oil is there, but research and development is going on to transit out of that oil. So you must take a portion of that, your oil money, to also join in the research and development plan of the world, so that as they are transiting, otherwise you'll be left with a commodity that is no longer of use at the end of the day. I remember the last climate change conference in Dubai. There's a committee on electric on
climate change.
No, climate change, on the fact that they are looking at moving beyond oil. And UAE and the other Arab nations, they didn't want to start talking about it. But there's already a committee now to say, look, let us begin to think beyond this oil.
So that is my argument. If the world is thinking beyond oil, that is fine. We that have the oil, what are we thinking to do with the oil? Because that is the next question I wanted to ask you. Energy security. When we talk about energy security, possibly that is what part of the objectives that this Africa Energy Bank will also be contributing to Nigeria and to Africa. But again, how are they going to achieve that energy security? It's something I would like you to share on. In addition to what are we doing to also prepare by the time we have transited into alternative oils? What are we going to do with our commodity?
Okay, So the first thing you talk about now, right now there is energy poverty. Okay, the fact that you want to use energy is not available. So now the world is transiting to a situation where the alternative energy will be available for you now to have that energy security, so that if oil fails, okay, the other source of energy should be available to balance the ecosystem. So the question you're asking, what do we do with this oil in case we transit?
Exactly.
Okay, so you just have to follow the world. Like I told you, 3 nations already in the world are no longer using fossil fuel cars. And bear in mind that it is cheaper. Okay? Those technology, I mean, like you have the sun, you carry the solar panel on your car. So as you're driving, it is recharging free of charge from heaven. Okay? So if it becomes cheaper at the end of the day, you're talking about things like energy efficiency. Okay? You have the electric bulb I mentioned to you now, the white bulb that is energy this thing. I mean, I don't know the last time you bought the red bulb.
No. It's phased out. Or it has already phased out.
Do you understand? It's very cheap, but again, it consumes a lot of your energy.
Especially now that the price of AEDC units are not stable.
So there are quite a number of other projects like the clean cooking gas.
Yes, okay? The clean stove.
The clean stove cooking gas. What about you have the LPG, then you have the CNG right now also. Okay, and you know when we speak to governments here, you know they begin to listen. Now they are building free CNG plants across the nation. That will create employment. That will lead to, I mean, less emphasis on the fuel, on petrol.
Yeah.
So I mean, if Mr. President had a thought about all these things, he would have been able to balance it. My annoyance is that Nigerians are suffering when they don't need to suffer.
And again, perhaps, like what you said, it's a slow starter. So the engine is beginning to kick now. But again, let me ask, do you think that there could be regulatory impediments that could also hamper the effectiveness of this bank? Because again, as a consultant, I'm expecting that you begin to prepare yourself now.
Yeah.
By the time the African Energy Bank comes to play, you should be able to. Part of the thing I'm going to hold you responsible for is to ask them to give you that job to research on what we are going to do with our oil.
We should have like maybe a 15 years plan now.
Yes.
Of the impact of the African Energy Bank is going to have on our economy.
Yeah.
We have talked about things like labor now.
Yes.
Then we looked at the value chain. Of course, when you are looking at the impediment, one of them is the corruption. Okay, so 100 million is at stake now for the bank to even come to Nigeria. At the end of the day, are there going to be
backhand
channels to say, look, out of this, can you give us this? Then that will stall the coming
of the bank
of that bank. Okay, so there are issues of corruption, and again, it's a major issues that we're having. Okay, when you talk about development projects, one of the problems happening to those development projects, why you don't actually feel the impact, is that most of the money is stolen at the end of the day. So if money goes into the project the way they are planned, at the end of the day, then of course projects will be able to will be done, and will be able to achieve the way they have been planned out. There are issues of bureaucracy. Okay, approvals. Okay, Mr. President has mentioned it today. Is the minister for coordinating minister, is he able to quickly just drop that 100 million for the bank to start moving immediately?
Or there will be backhand channel like we are talking about.
So the issue of where the bank is going to be, that's why I really feel that look, they need a consultant right now to give them a 15 years plan of how Nigeria will benefit from
African Energy Bank.
Okay, where's the bank going to be? Where the regional offices is going to be? How much labor force are we looking at? Okay, so by the time you look at this, what projects are they going to be financing? There's one project today. They said Nigeria is one of the highest gas producing nation, but there is gas flaring. So a chunk of that money should go into gas flaring reduction. Okay, so these are long-term plan. So that's why I love Adesina. Okay, a lot of people say that, look, I talk and behave like Adesina. Adesina, when he was Minister for Agric, he had a long-term plan and he was rolling them out. He was saying the gains that we could have as a result of the fact that he is the Minister for Agric. So you should look for a forward-looking personnel. If he doesn't have those training, begin to train them now to have a forward-looking of what this bank is going to do and how it's going to help Africa at the end of the day.
I think one of the things that we're expecting this bank to do, which, don't be angry, you're going to give us a free consultancy to the Nigerian government and to Nigerian people. How could this Africa Energy Bank, how can this African Energy Bank support the diversification of our economy?
Well, I mean, like I said, energy is key. Energy is critical. Today, beyond security, if we get our energy right, half of our Nigerians are very industrial, very industrious people. Okay, just imagine that they have light 24 hours at the end of the day. Just imagine what Nigerians will do. Look at our film industry today. Okay, so it's going to blossom. Nigerians, I mean, the creative, the art and creative sector. Look at our musicians. Okay, so all these are functions of the diversification of the economy by the fact that, you know, nightlife will come up, sir. You understand what I'm saying? Now, we're talking about 24 hours economy. The 24-hour economy thrive on availability of energy.
Exactly.
Okay, so today there is night and day. So if you have a good energy system, you will not be able to differentiate night and day. So it means that you now have a proper 24 hours economy that, you know, everybody will be productive. A lot of people go out of this country today. One of the things they enjoy is that anytime they want jobs are available. Okay, so a good energy system will give us a 24 hours economy that will keep the people employed. Okay, I want to see a situation where Nigerians will start coming back, because it's better now for you to live in Nigeria than for you to live abroad. People go abroad because every other thing is right. It's not as if maybe they're enjoying themselves. Okay, so a good energy will lead to diversification. It makes other sectors will fall in place. Hospitality, tourism and hospitality. You know, Nigeria is the tourism destination as a result of the fact that, you know, transportation and logistics will be in proper perspective. You can have electric trains. Okay, you have electric buses that are cheaper than fossil fuel driven vehicle, and that's what that bank is going to be doing. Making sure tourism is available, making sure the housing, the people.
The way you are painting this thing is as if the African Energy Bank is going to bring our Eldorado. But as we wrap up the show, thank you very much. But as we wrap up the show, can you just tell us? Do you have an idea of the timeline? Because I can't wait to see this bank coming. If we can achieve all these.
We can fast forward now. Our economy is in dear need of innovations like this. Okay, so I mean, it has been approved that the headquarters is going to be
in Nigeria.
And Mr. President, I'm sure, is making an arrangement to drop the $100 million USD that warrants that. The next thing you are announcing, you are putting a management in place. Okay, the next thing you are saying, look, this is the land where that energy bank is there. And if it's going to be in Abuja, you know, then Wike is available to build immediately.
Are you certifying him as Mr. Project?
Yeah, it's Mr. Project, but again, the welfare of the people also
is
matter.
Important. All right, on that note of the welfare of the people, we want to thank Dr. Godfrey Ajayi Sunday, the Group Managing Director for G Consulting International Services, and of course, our market movers, business and economy analysts. Thank you very much for always being there.
Thank you very much, Osai.
And thank you for staying with us on the show today. We'll come back to you tomorrow with another insightful edition. Until then, stay blessed and stay tight.